Hey guys, in a previous video, I offered up some advice about how you could practice portraiture lighting with a $5 mannequin head like this. This is just a styrofoam head that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. You know, it's got sort of a realistic human facial features. So it's a pretty good way to practice your portraiture lighting. Just mount this on a light stand, and you can practice your different lighting scenarios and portrait lighting patterns. Now in that video, I had mentioned that I'd previously owned a full body mannequin, but that had been like about 10 years ago. I'd sold the mannequin, figured I really didn't have much more use for it after my initial experimentation and practice with lighting, but it was only somewhat useful because its facial features weren't very realistic. Fast forward to just recently, and I realized how a full body mannequin with realistic facial features and a wig could really help me demonstrate some of my portraiture lighting setups. This would be good for tutorials and for my online portrait photography courses. Then it got me to thinking that something like this would be really good for beginners to practice with. Now, I prefer working with real people, of course, but the thing about working with a mannequin and practicing your lighting with a mannequin is that the mannequin doesn't move at all. All right, and its facial expressions don't change from shot to shot. So when I'm demonstrating very specific lighting techniques and I make minor adjustments to the lighting, the only thing that you'll see change from shot to shot in those demonstrations is the lighting itself. It's very useful for teaching portraiture lighting techniques because you can show from shot to shot these slight minor variations in lighting, and with things like any movement of the key light or any change to the fill light. So when putting together my latest online course about portraiture lighting, I used a mannequin for this very reason. I really liked how it turned out, and I think I'll be using the mannequin for future tutorials on this channel. So some of you have been asking, hey Ed, where can I get a mannequin like the one you're showing in this tutorial or this course? And I think that's a really good idea, really good instincts on your part, because using a mannequin like this can really help. This one's got realistic features, eyelashes, reflective eye surfaces, which really help you with learning, catch light positions. Mine came with 2 different colored wigs. The head moves a little, not too much, but you can move the torso to change the, the pose. So this mannequin is generally very sturdy, but it's still very easy to move around because, it's made of plastic. The thing about it is my mannequin is pretty tall. If you want to know how tall, well, a lot taller than I am. Might make it a little harder to use indoors if you've got like a standard ceiling height, like 8 or 9 feet. That doesn't leave a lot of room from the top of the head to the ceiling, if you're experimenting with like overhead, hair light shots using a boom arm. But that's okay, because see, what I do in that case is separate the mannequin at the torso, because that's one of the connection points right here. So you can take the top part of the mannequin off, just basically the torso, cut off at the waist, and set her down, say, in a chair or on a stool. And you've got her, maybe at a seated height, a normal seated height, which is how you're gonna do lots of portraits anyway. And it's no big deal to practice with a mannequin at a certain height because, obviously your subjects are gonna sometimes be sitting, sometimes be standing. They're gonna be short, tall, in between. So it's just a matter of adjusting your lights to the same angles, but just, adjusting for height. Now another thing, these mannequins do not come with clothing, so you're gonna have to supply that yourself. But this one did come with 2 wigs, so that I think one is actually lighter than this one. So then you can experiment with different lighting intensities based on, say, someone who's brunette versus someone who's blonde. Now something to think about, the price for this is really reasonable, but that's especially considering what you'd have to pay a model to sit there for several hours while you practice basic portraiture lighting techniques. I think the price varies from model to model, but I'm gonna go ahead and provide a link down below so you can sort of compare different models of these mannequins yourself and see which one fits in with your needs and your budget. Now just remember, you do have to practice with real people too. but using a mannequin like this is going to save them a lot of grief, like say family members, your spouse, your kids, friends. You really don't want to put them through that where you've got them sitting still for long periods of time just so that you can practice different lighting techniques. Something like this is going to save them from that, and it's going to just make it easier, take the pressure off of you while you're practicing and experimenting with your lighting, because you don't worry about what you're putting somebody else through. You just do your thing. She's not going to complain. By the way, if you're interested in learning about portraiture lighting from top to bottom, I've got plenty of resources for you. I've got online courses and ebooks, and I'll go ahead and link to those below. Hey guys, from me and from, we haven't really named her yet, I think Deidre suggested Roxy. Our first mannequin like this was named Sally. I'm not really sure I'm comfortable naming an inanimate object. But in any event, from the mannequin and from myself, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.